Yo, what is up guys? I'm here with my good friend Austin. You guys might know him as the Digital Bromad. And today we're going to be interviewing him on his digital nomad journey, how his life is like in the Philippines, and kind of getting some advice of how to relocate and if this lifestyle is genuinely worth it, and kind of get some behind the scenes. So first off, for anybody who doesn't know, can you give a little introduction and kind of some backstory?
Yeah, sure. So my name is Austin Abeda. My handles are all under Digital Bromad. I'm 33 years old, and I really didn't start traveling the world until about 4 years ago is when I made my nomad leap. And grew up in Colorado, pretty regular life, and was just really unsatisfied with where I was at work. Decided to make the leap and never looked back. And honestly, my only regret is not doing it sooner. Like it's been a wild ride this every year of these 4 years.
Yeah, before I became like a digital nomad, I was actually seeing some of your videos about like being a passport bro and then Colombia. I think
Oh
those are the
yeah,
first videos.
yeah.
Yeah, did you just kind of wing it? You just kind of decided, screw it, I'm gonna go abroad, I'm gonna go to Colombia, I'm gonna try it out. Like, how was the beginning like?
No, that's a good question. The beginning was honestly, I was super unsatisfied with my job, and my sister had a wedding in Puerto Vallarta. And I went to Mexico, Puerto Vallarta, and there's a small city, Sayulita, below it. So my family travels, but they do resorts. We don't travel that often, but when we go, we like stay in a resort in Mexico, right? And they thought super dangerous, don't leave the resort. But we ended up taking this trip to this small local town on the beach. It was amazing. Like, it was the best part of the trip. And then it got me thinking about like, I wonder, like, this could be life. I saw the prices of things, like, damn, if I could just make money. And I was thinking making money in Mexico. The book 4 Hour Work Week totally opened up my eyes.
Yeah.
And I was like, shit, this really is possible. And then I just started like daydreaming every day. I would look at Airbnbs in different countries and like start planning it out. And I don't know if I manifested it because I wasn't really into like manifesting back then, but I was just like naturally couldn't stop thinking about it, thinking about, leaving America, getting into remote work. And it eventually, the pandemic hit, and that gave me, our company went remote, and I was like, this is it. This is
Oh
my
wow,
chance. So
nice.
I was able to bounce because of that.
Wow. So that was like the golden opportunity. Like that's kind of what led you, like the remote work job, that's kind of what led you, right?
Yeah, it led me to be able to take a 30-day chance. And now it's like if they ever told me to come back to the office, I'd quit. Like there's no
Yeah.
way.
Oh, so you're still working at that current job.
No, I had to change because, pandemic ended and then they were, asking people to come back to office. But part of the company was bought by another company. So I was able to sort of transition there and then say like I've always worked remote, even though I
Yeah.
didn't get hired remote. I was like, no, it's been in my contract, like I need to be remote, and I was able to stay. But what I did was really nice is, if you want to go remote, set up a 30-day trial period with your manager, because a lot of times managers don't know first the laws of it. They think it's illegal, they think taxes are going to be crazy,
Mm-hmm.
and then they don't understand just how productive you can be. And so that was my ticket, was like begging for a 30-day window and then crushing it. And then from then on.
I see. So the second job, that wasn't a specifically a remote work kind of job. It was like you kind of pitched a 30-day idea. I could do this overseas. Give me 30 days. I'm gonna crush it for you. So that was
Yep.
wow, wow. Do you think like any job, like any kind of computer tech related jobs, you think that's a good idea to do that?
Yeah, well, I've been thinking about this for like over a year because I've been really trying to get people remote jobs. And it really depends on the industry. Healthcare and cybersecurity, sometimes you run into issues, even if you can do your job totally online because of like HIPAA violations or like some data breach
Yeah.
concerns. But for the most part, I'm from the it's not illegal. Sometimes it's not even in the company policy.
Hmm.
So I'm from the like perspective of, if you can do your job and you're making the company money, why not? Like,
Yeah,
you should
yeah.
be able to. And I've even told people there's technology where your manager can't really doesn't know that you're overseas, and I'm like, use it. Who
Yeah.
cares? Like, it's not illegal. They don't have to know where you are. They don't have the right to that. And
Yeah.
as long as you get your work done.
So that job, that employer was comfortable with the first 30 days, and then he was like, okay, yeah, you can do whatever you want as long as you keep doing the job.
Yep. As
Oh,
long as
that's
they didn't mess
awesome.
up.
So when you were given that 30 days period, you moved to where?
I started in Mexico and then went to Brazil. I met some Brazilians in Mexico. I was like, Brazil seems dope. They all were cool. Then eventually jumped around South America, Colombia, which is where I sort of blew up. Like, my Colombia content really
Passport
is what
Bros.
started. Yeah, the
Yeah.
Passport Pro stuff really started my whole channel. and now I'm in the Philippines. So I've been all around South Korea, all through Southeast Asia and South America. But now my girlfriend's a Filipina, and we live in the Philippines mostly. Although what's great about being a nomad, as soon as our lease ends, we take like 4 or 5 months to just jump around wherever we want, and then return back to like home base.
Wow, that's awesome, man. So how long have you been in the Philippines?
I've been in the Philippines. Last stint was probably a 7 month stint. That was the longest in one that for one time. But before that, I was there for 2 months. So I guess a total of 9 months.
Let's see. And how long were you in Colombia?
Colombia, about the same. It's like I said I was going to travel the world, and then I
Yeah.
kept coming back to Medellin because Colombia, Medellin, some specials going on there with the nomad scene, with just the culture. Like it's really amazing. So I've probably stayed in both about the same. 9 months in Colombia, 9 months in Philippines.
Yeah. I mean, I hear a lot of stories about Colombia, and it's kind of like nerve-wracking for me. I'm a little intimidated by it, especially the stories of like Scopia, I think it's
Yeah,
called. Yeah,
Scopamine.
Scopamine, right?
Yeah, it's real. It's out there.
Yeah. Do you ever have any horror stories like that?
No, not me. There's I think you can see it coming from a mile away if you know what you're looking for. If like a 10 out of 10 Colombian girl is like, "Oh, papacito, let's go back to your apartment now." I even have a friend who's also hot. Two of them, like you're gonna have like a random threesome from
Yeah,
from
yeah.
no game, no CM set. Like that's what gets you in trouble. So as long as you stay safe, and usually I tell people to get an Airbnb. That most Airbnbs there have really good security, and the security guard will literally take their ID and they can't leave without you.
Oh, that's probably the best tip then. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. Wow.
So if you're thinking about meeting women or dating, get an Airbnb in an apartment complex, and that security guard's your best friend. Like seriously, dap it up with them, maybe even tip him a little bit, and he'll make sure you're taken care of. And the women will know too when they're coming in, just in case you get a sketch vibe. But
Yeah.
honestly, if you're feeling super sketch, you shouldn't bring them back to the room anyway.
Yeah. It's like the girl goes with you and then gives the idea, and then she's probably like, "Oh, damn, I can't do anything tonight," you know? So, I mean, yeah, that's actually a really good tip. Yeah, so to speak more about the Philippines, why did you choose the Philippines as a base compared to all these other amazing countries, and why have you since continued to stay?
Yeah, that's a good question. I really like the Philippines. Cost of living is really, really nice. The English really helps because I was traveling around Asia. I speak a little bit of Spanish, so South America is not bad. But Asia, Japan was pretty difficult. Korea was difficult for me. I like talking to random people at the store. I'm pretty social with like locals, so Philippines gives me the option to be able to interact more, and I just feel like had a better vibe. And another big reason is my girl. My girl's out there, so it's like it was easier. She was going to school when we first met, so it's easier to sort of like keep as I was traveling through Asia to always stop by back at the Philippines.
I see. Uh, what is the kind of cost of living like for your lifestyle? Like, can you kind of describe your lifestyle and what's cost of living?
Yeah, sure. So I pay 670 a month for a really nice condo in the Philippines, and I'm overpaying for it, to be honest. So you could really get by $2,000, $3,000 a month, and you're going to be eating out almost every meal, having it ordered. I have people do my laundry, I have cleaning, and this is something that I really think helps people scale their life, not only make more money, but have more free time. And in America, it's impossible. Like you
Yeah.
can't have all your meals cooked for you
Yeah, it's so expensive.
and have a cleaner, yeah. And it's more about buying your time, which is
Yeah.
really how the rich live. Like the rich pay more for things that are fast and things that save them time. And it allows them to have more free time to make more money because their ROI on like how much they actually make. So one other thing I didn't even think about is Uber. It's like I don't own a car. So if I'm going anywhere, I'm on Uber. I make social media content, so I'm almost like working while I'm in the back of the car. Like, oh, that's a good hook. This is a good
Yeah.
idea, and the hours of day I can put towards the stuff I want to do is way more. So that's
Yeah.
what I really love the Philippines. Is the time freedom has been the biggest change.
Yeah, that's definitely a good point. Like in terms of becoming an entrepreneur and becoming like this remote worker, you're not, even though you might technically be employed, you have to think kind of more independently about how to manage your time or about how to increase your income and all these things. So can you give a little background about like what you do specifically for work?
Sure. I am a data analyst right now. Technically, my title just moved up to data scientist. And basically, I work with a company that has a very large data set of email activities and web activities. And I query that data set and give people like reports at the end of each month.
I think if you're able to secure that remote income, then there's nothing stopping you. You know, literally leaving the United States, leaving all these problems back in the West or wherever you are, and just escaping to this like kind of paradise, wherever that is, whether that's Thailand, Philippines, and yeah, it's a lot more realistic than people think, I think.
Yeah, yeah, I
Yeah.
think it really is, especially it's growing too.
Hmm.
And like you said, your paradise. Like you don't have to, once you have a remote job, you can literally find the culture you like, the people you like, the
Yeah.
cost of living you like. It's really
Hmm.
like you can, what's it called? Like lifestyle hacking or
Like
create your own lifestyle. Don't let it create you in a sense.
exactly, yeah. Designing your lifestyle as if you're like the artist. Yeah,
Yeah, that's
exactly.
it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah. So right now we're in Thailand right now, and I think the two like very popular two countries are the Philippines
Hmm.
and Thailand, and there's like kind of a battle between the two. Like they're
There
very
is.
passionate communities. So what do you think would be like the difference? Like, what's your personal preference and kind of any differences you notice?
Yeah, I've been here a month, so I'm definitely not like super, super ingrained, but I noticed a lot of differences just from being here. First off, I love the elephant pants. That's a
Oh yeah, I
plus.
saw that.
The infrastructure in Thailand is better. Like I will say that the buildings, like these condos in Thailand, are insane for
Yeah,
the price.
I know.
Like marble floors, like even where we're at right now, we're able to rent out rooms, film,
Hmm.
gyms, Muay Thai. So I think if you're big on like amenities, I think Thailand's your spot.
Hmm.
And it's a slightly cheaper even. Like the
Wow.
apartments are even slightly cheaper.
Wow.
Um, the party scene is probably a little bit more wild in Thailand as well. You know, marijuana is legal. A bunch of stuff is illegal. They seem a little bit more open. We're getting a little bit of rain. The weather is a little different, but I don't know if it's because it's rainy season, but it does rain a lot here. But I'm sure it's just rainy season. The cons I see are um, sometimes it's hard if you don't speak Thai if you're
Yeah,
trying to go do local activities.
for sure.
And what I've noticed a lot about Thai people, maybe it's just me, but if they don't understand you, they'll almost, not to be rude or something, they'll be like, yes, they'll nod their head or they'll be like, they'll make a assumption about what you want. And
Mm.
then you could, they go to the uh, thing to get your meal and it comes back and it's wrong, or the
Oh
taxi
yeah,
driver
yeah,
drops you off in the wrong space, or it's just that sort of.
yeah.
And I think that might cross over to dating as well. If you're looking, if you really want to like live a good Thai life, you have to commit to learning Thai, in my opinion.
For
Although
sure.
a lot of people out here don't, but the difference between the connections I can make with locals in the Philippines versus here is pretty drastic.
Hmm.
Because we can have like a full conversation or sing karaoke. They love that over there. Or like
Yeah,
at the bar, no matter who you meet, they're going to know some English.
yeah, yeah. I think that's like one of the best things about moving across and actually traveling is like to actually get into these cultural experiences to talk with the locals. And I mean, for the Philippines, it's kind of a cheat code because like they
Yeah.
speak English, you know.
Yeah.
And then yeah, for any of you guys coming to Thailand, I think that they have to learn Thai. Like if you're gonna be here for a couple of years, I really think it's worth it. Um, so yeah, that's definitely really important to be able to communicate to the local people, to make some friends with them, and yeah,
I was gonna ask you actually a question about you're learning Thai, right? And you've like learned Thai.
yeah.
How has that improved your life in Thailand? And also, how hard was it? Like, what's the
Mhm.
what was been like the best formula that you've used to learn it?
Yeah, so at first I was never like super rigid, like I gotta buy the textbook, gotta take these classes. It's just like I go on dates with these Thai girls. They'd say like little phrases and little slang here and there, and I just like put these in my back pocket and I try to,
Yeah.
remember them, and then I'd say it every now and then, and it oftentimes start a conversation, oftentimes like be a good like kind of funny and stuff. So I was like, wow, this is actually feels really nice. I can actually kind of communicate a little bit deeper with these locals. And then I decided I'm going to be here for a long term, and I have a Thai girlfriend now. And at the time, she didn't really know too much English, so I was kind of forced into learning Thai.
Hmm.
And yeah, so I think the biggest game changer was actually taking Thai classes and deciding like, okay, I'm going to learn this thing. And yeah, it's been a pretty good journey. Yeah,
Committing beyond Duolingo, like let's
yeah,
take it
yeah,
serious.
yeah,
I think you mentioned two things that I really love was the slang and then it being funny.
yeah, yeah,
It's when you're learning a new language and you're dating, it's almost endearing to the person you're dating to throw a little bit of their language, especially
yeah,
slang.
yeah.
Like they have some like term like dope or like some term only Thai people say. you learn that and you use it correctly in the conversation, they'll be like,
Yeah.
"Hey, this guy,
He's
he's
like,
cool. He gets
oh,
it."
like they're
Yeah.
so impressed. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I
That's one of the best experiences. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say sorry that in America it's almost opposite. Like, um, they really they're really encouraging when you're learning their language. Like in America, if someone gets a little bit of English but it's a little off, I don't think people are like, "Wow, you did a good job. Like, keep learning English." You know what I mean? Like the reinforcement you get from trying to learn another country's language, they appreciate you. Like they really like want you to do it. And
Hmm.
yeah,
Yeah, they're super appreciative here. Like, 'cause I think most people actually don't take the time to actually try to learn. So if you're one of the very few people who can actually speak somewhat decently, it's just a huge surprise. And it's like you said, it's endearing. It feels like you respect them, you know, that you took the time to learn and actually communicate. So speaking about the Philippines, what visa are you on, and how easy is it for foreigners to actually move to Philippines?
that's a good question. It blew my mind before I started traveling digital nomad and after just how easy if you have an American passport it normally is. So for the Philippines, you get 30-day visa, no questions asked. They don't even see what's in your bank account. They don't have to interview you. You have a passport and you show up. You do have to show a return ticket, but a lot of people either buy a 24-hour return ticket and cancel it. Like say you're about to go through immigration, buy it, say, here's my return ticket to like China or something, it's $40, and then cancel it. Or there's a site called Dummy Ticket where you can get like a fake one. But you get 30 days, and then to extend it, it's about $20. Actually, I'm going to say like anywhere between 20 and 40, and you can extend it another 30. And as long as you're not getting in trouble with the law or anything, you can extend it again. I think 2 months this time, and then eventually 6 months, and you can stay up to 3 years just on the tourist visa. Like no
Wow.
interviews, nothing. It's really, really easy. There's a lot of retirement visas too.
So you could do that for like 3 years technically, and then if you wanted to get the retirement visa or whatever else visa,
Hmm.
just buy that, right?
Yeah, buy that, or you could leave and come back. I'm not sure how tough Filipino immigration is, though. If they're like, you were just
Yeah,
here 3 years and now you're back for another. But
yeah.
I've seen people living there a long time without, and they say they just, that's what they do.
Yeah, yeah. If there's a will, then there's a way. You know, like
I like that.
these visa things, it can be quite complicated, but it's like if you really want to stay, you can find a way to stay. You know, it's usually just money. It's usually just like paperwork, so you can make it work essentially.
Yeah. And that's with going remote too. I'm sure there was a ton of like little roadblocks you faced getting out here, but you were like, if you really spend,
Hmm.
effort on that roadblock, you get around it most of the time.
Yeah, yeah. It's been like some nightmares I've had to face here with Thailand visas, like being interrogated at the airport, like, why are you here? It's already
Shit.
been so long, you know, and but yeah, you can always find a way to make it work. So speaking about the lifestyle in the Philippines, you talked about the cost of living. It's like roughly 2,000, 3,000 for a
Hmm.
really nice life. What are some of the differences between like living in the United States versus the Philippines? Like beside the cost of living.
Um, yeah, that's a good question. Personally think the Filipino people are really, really welcoming, and they have a really good community of like you're going out and going grocery shopping, they'll make a joke or talk to you, or like they're out singing karaoke, they'll invite you to come sing.
Mm.
Super, super caring and like loving people. I think a politician said that the Philippines' greatest export was humanity.
Wow,
So they
that's a bar.
yeah, it
Wow,
is
that
a
is
bar.
uh,
So they have that reputation with a lot of people. What Anthony Bourdain says on the Philippines too, he kind of mirrors that. So it's just, yeah, the humanity of the people and the friendliness of the people.
hmm.
And then of course, I'm in among a different sort of, what's the best way to put it, like social economic bracket in the Philippines.
For sure.
So I think some of that changes too, where um, I'm a little bit more spoiled in sense of if I want something, I know I could get it, and it's changed my perspective on like what my time is worth, what I should be doing, sort of like the laundry and the cooking aspect, but also it comes down to just like convenience. Like I think things are more like addicted to convenience in the Philippines because that's basically, well, I value my time a whole lot more rather than my money because it's so much cheaper. Where in
Hmm.
the States, I'd be like, oh, I should go drive and cook because that'll save me an extra X. That'll help. Where now
Yeah,
I'm like, I want to go visit an island, do
yeah.
something fun. Like I'm going to save all this money and or work more for it.
I think Philippines and Thailand can kind of relate with that. Like a lot of people see these two countries as extremely welcoming and friendly, and it kind
Hmm.
of changes your sense of values, I think. you know, especially me coming from like New York City, I'm just really doggish, really aggressive, trying to make it, trying to hustle, you know, and like it's very individualistic, very
Hmm.
competitive. And then when I came out here to Thailand, it's just like I could just chill, you know. And a lot of people say it's well, it's because of the money, you know. It's like in America you have to be working hard to make a living, but as Westerners, we have a pretty privileged socioeconomic status, you know,
Hmm.
so it's not as hard, I guess, for us. But I don't even think it's just about the money. It's just like you're surrounded by this culture and all these really nice people and all their values as well. It kind of rubs off on you. So I want to ask you, what has your perspective on life? How has that changed since
Mm.
moving to the Philippines?
No, that's a great question, good setup for it because it as I'm looking now, it really is the hustle culture of America. Like I've learned more about America leaving it for 4 years than I did in the like 29 years I was there.
Damn,
You
dude,
need like
same, bro.
yeah,
Yeah,
you need to see it from far away, like a
yeah,
fish in water. But
yes,
you were in New York, so you're probably in the most hustle area.
yeah,
I was kind of in Washington State and Colorado, and even there I was feeling like the escape velocity for lifestyle is so hard. Like if I'm thinking about now I think my perspective on life is like I want escape velocity in finances, basically where what I'm talking about is like you're working hard leaving Earth's atmosphere and it gets easier and easier the more money and sort of options you have and then eventually you have sort of like sustainable income, a ton of free time and the ability to go wherever you want. And that would be like freedom. And so I think in America I never thought that was possible and now I can kind of see like I have the opportunity to maybe own a condo, have enough coming in through investments to just like really reach escape velocity, where in the States it wasn't even on my mind. And then as far as outlook on life, just being more relaxed and being more like things go wrong when you travel. Like it's
yeah,
not all rainbows and butterflies being a nomad. You show up to your Airbnb for a month and you hate it and there's
yeah,
bugs and it sucks.
yeah.
And then you try to log on to your work and the Wi-Fi doesn't work. But rolling with those punches and let it like that's a big thing of just like I'm a lot less strict on where I sleep or like if I have to go stay in a hostel bunk bed for a few days, I'm totally cool with that.
Hmm.
If Wi-Fi is a little slow, I'm cool with that. And that human beings all kind of around the world want the same things. Like we're all pretty similar.
Hmm.
Cultures are different, but we're all like the core of it's all the same. And so
Yeah,
like everyone likes being treated certain ways.
yeah. I like how you said that, like, once you escape United States, you can kind of see it from like a bird's eye view and kind of see
Hmm.
it as an outsider. And that's a good point because, like, when you're in that hustle culture, you can kind of see how that's actually not what life is all about, you know. And like people in America, they're oftentimes some of the richest people, and like, and obviously there's a lot of people struggling, but like even millionaires in America still think that they have to continuously grind and hustle, but then they can't see it from an outside view of that's actually not what life is all about, you know. And I'm not here to we're not here to say like money's not important, like you don't need to work, hustle, grind. I think that's extremely important, but it's like when you come out here to these countries and you interact with the locals and you travel, you get all these experiences, you realize like this is actually what life is about, like
Yeah.
relationships, like connections. Before I was just like super hyper focused on like success, on money, on women, on all this stuff. And then when I come out here to Thailand, I'm like, I mean, all that stuff actually made me depressed in New York. And then moving out here to Thailand, I realized these things are not that important. It's nice, but it's not that important, you know? I'm gonna get some comments like, it's
Yeah,
like
cool.
speaking from you, you know?
Yeah.
Huh.
But you do need it. I think you need that perspective. And in order to get the perspective, you kind of have to experience both. So you have to
That's a good
experience the
point.
money before you can realize the money's not everything.
Yep.
And it's easy, but which sucks too, because it's like I think everyone should go get money first and then decide if you want to keep grinding towards that.
Yep.
But I see content where it's like if you make like 10K a month, you're still broke. Or if you
Yeah.
like 5K a month's nothing in America, or if you live in Miami or New York, I'm sure it is. But even the people you're around, I'll put it this way: some of the most fun and like memorable moments I've ever had have been at a hostel drinking $2 beers, $1 beers, you know, on like a rinky-dink couch playing cards with some people from all over the world. Like
Hmm.
that, and I've been to the high end clubs and the high end like cocktail bars, and they're great too. But it's really a roll of the dice. It's really about who you're surrounded and what's going to make a better experience for you. So it's not
Exactly,
just the
yeah.
money.
Yeah, it's definitely not just about the money. Like, I think if you're up and coming and if you're trying to become a digital nomad, trying to get on this journey, I think you should go through that phase of like hustle and like just really just focusing in all on work and then nothing else matters except for money. I think those phases are quite important, but it's once you reach that certain point, I think it's really important to try to kind of have a really good balance of
Yeah.
like of everything. So, um,
Understand when enough is enough.
exactly. All right, so time to move on to a more spicy topic.
Okay.
We're gonna be talking
About the
about
spice.
dating. Yeah. So, in the Philippines, what is it like dating as a man?
So I think a lot of nomads, when you leave America, the dating culture's just a lot different, and you're gonna get treated a lot different. And that goes to a lot of different countries. So first off, like more Tinder matches than you know what to do with,
Hundreds,
like
hundreds, right?
hundreds of Tinder matches, which it's just nice. And then you kind of understand how the other side behaves on Tinder. Because women, if you've ever like seen how many matches they get, especially in the West, it's hundreds as well. And so when they say like women on Tinder are super picky, it's only because you don't have enough time to know 100 matches, and you start behaving that way too. So you're kind of like, wow, I have 100 of these matches. I can't know anyone, so I'm gonna have to like pick my favorites. And you start, having to create some sort of filtering process, which is nice. Like everyone loves attention, like that. That it's awesome to get more matches, and they're more interested in you. I think a lot of people want to harp on the passport bros and say it's like just about money. Like these women
Yeah.
see you're American and they know you have money, and that's like the only reason they're interested in you. And I'm not gonna play like naivety and say that's not part of it, but there's a lot of different things that are playing in your favor. So it's a whole mixture, and every person you date is gonna have a little bit of that mix in their bucket that why they're talking to you. So if a girl's like super a gold digger, it might be the only reason she's talking to is the money. And you can feel this out pretty easily. But also, if you're in a different country, you're from a different place. Women might have had bad experiences with their last two boyfriends and they want to try something new.
Hmm.
You're absolutely 100% refreshing and new. Your dates are exciting because it's like when you get to know someone, you get to know their life story.
Hmm.
Yours starts in a different country,
Hmm.
thousands of miles away, and little mannerisms, books you know, movies you like, all that's super foreign and different to them.
Yeah.
That's also really exciting. Sometimes your looks, if you have blue eyes in Asia, light
Oh
eyes in
yeah.
Asia,
Oh man.
oh my God, this is super cheat code.
Yep. And if you're
It's
6 feet tall, oh man, 1%, like,
Yeah, 1% of 1%. Like,
yeah.
yeah, in the States, there's a lot of blue-eyed, tall people, that sort of type. But in other countries, you might be the extreme rarity, like an
Hmm.
extreme, I guess, exotic, you would say. And so that's playing in your favor. So I think just taking as a whole and understanding, getting a feel for the person is really important. Because I'm not gonna lie, there is money's a thing, and I think it might be a materialistic like in someone, but I don't think it's necessarily 100% evil or unnatural in a sense. Like we like women with nice bodies, and it's like every guy's gonna be like, yeah, her body's nice. I like that about her. Is that enough for me to be with her forever?
Yeah. Yeah.
No. So it could be something that intrigues them into you, but they're not gonna fall in love with you. But you get a ticket to the dance faster for sure.
Yeah, it's like it's the whole thing, It's not one particular reason why they might be attracted to you. It's like, if you make good money, that's definitely an attractive thing. But it's,
Hmm.
a lot of people who hate on the passport bros movement and like, dating overseas and stuff, they think of these women as like really exploitable, really dependent, like unable to critically think for themselves and honestly just kind of racist, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still very pro passport bro. I'm still very pro leaving America and dating outside of America.
Hmm.
But I also think there are extremes of every movement. And if you go too far over here, there's a lot of darkness. And I don't think that's where happiness is at. I don't
For
think
sure.
I see a lot of these older guys in the Philippines. They're probably like 70, 60, and they're dating these young Filipino women that are obviously just after the money, obviously
Yeah,
the
yeah.
escorts. And, I think they're drinking a lot and they're hooking up a lot, but I think they don't have a partner in their life and they're like still kind of trapped in the hedonism of that. And so I think it's important to like better yourself.
Yeah, I agree a lot with what you said. Like, I think a lot of these like sexpats kind of get jumped in together with these like passport bros movement. I think it just depends on your intention, you know, like
Yeah.
I think it's like a beautiful thing if like a traditionally masculine man wants a traditional feminine partner that's conservative, that has traditional values, that wants to have a family, have kids. I mean, in what world is that a bad thing? You know, if they move overseas, they find a really sweet, nice, caring woman and they live happily ever after. Like, in what world is that a bad thing, you know?
Yeah.
But like a lot of these people who critique, they'll say that, oh, the woman is only up for the woman is only with him because of the money and because he doesn't,
Hmm.
you know, he abuses her, he's dominating her and stuff. I think it's just completely ridiculous and kind of racist and
Yeah, it is. It's sad. Like I think American women who bash women overseas get their privilege confused with what's like virtue. Like being a virtuous person isn't being a privileged person. And these people overseas, maybe they're less privileged as far as like what they have access to financially, but they you cannot boss them around.
yeah,
They're proud people. They're smart people.
exactly.
They care about their image. They care about their families. It's not like you, and they're not dumb. Like they're
Yeah,
like, you can't just
exactly.
come over here and like,
Boss them
hey,
around like
yeah, girl, do the dishes. I have, 200 US dollars and I'm at this they'd be like, F you, get the hell out of here.
yeah.
Um, so I think a lot of people that have that opinion just have never traveled. There's wisdom in these other cultures and other ways of life and ways of dealing with relationships.
It's funny too, because like a lot of these Western countries, they're quote unquote the privileged countries. They're very hyper developed, and they're extremely progressive. Whereas these underdeveloped countries like Philippines, Thailand, they're very traditional. And in the United States, it used to be quite traditional. Like a
Hmm.
lot of these values were the norm maybe like 5, 10 years ago, and then it's like it's just become almost like flipped. And I think it's like simply a lot of cultural differences too. Like in America, they value personal freedom and independence and like finding yourself and striving for your career and everything. So that's naturally going to bleed into a lot of the relationship dynamics. Whereas in Asia, it's very communal, like very collectivist, and that's naturally going to be relative towards like the relationships and everything. So this isn't us like saying like, oh, all Western women are bad or Western dating is inferior or anything. I think it's just a cultural difference. Um, but yeah, it's really refreshing for a lot of like traditionally masculine guys who want these traditional relationships to travel abroad, to date abroad. It's really,
Yeah.
really refreshing. Yeah. Moving on to like the future for you, like, do you think that you're gonna continuously pursue this kind of digital nomad lifestyle? And do you think it's sustainable? Do you ever like question, what am I doing with my life? Kind of things like that.
It's funny with you're talking about perspective, like being in America and then leaving. That was a big perspective in America. It's like, what am I doing with my life? And now that I'm traveling and living, it's like I'm living my life. Like I don't think about it that much. Like I do have plans for the future of it reaching escape velocity, but I'm enjoying the ride as I go. Like
Hmm.
it's really about I want rich experiences and I prioritize that more than the hustle culture.
Hmm.
So I don't have a clear plan. Like my tickets actually, I have a trip to Krabi Island and a trip back to Bangkok, and then an open schedule. And we're
Hmm.
gonna see what we're feeling. Do we want to go back to the city, a new island? And so we're taking it as we go. But my camera roll, if that's any indication of like experiences, my iCloud before I started traveling, I look at my photos. I'm like, what was I even doing during this time? I wasn't taking a lot of photos or videos just because I didn't find any moments that were video photo worthy. And it's not just because I'm a content creator. This was before I made content. You start traveling, you start living these lives and having these moments. My iCloud is full.
Yeah,
Like it's like I just felt like I've just lived like 6 years in three almost.
exactly. Yeah. Like once you're traveling, you can really feel like you're living, experiencing a lot more and stuff. Yeah. Do you ever feel like you would move back to the United States for whatever reason?
I think I could see myself. I'm really close with my family. Come from a Hispanic family, and that we're just really, really tight knit. So it would be more. The dream would be to like have a home base in the Philippines, definitely live there, own property there, and then be traveling back to the states a lot.
Hmm. Just to catch up with family, friends, things like
Yeah,
that, but not
maybe
really to live there.
No, probably not to live, but I'm talking like 6 times a year, go back, 7 times a year, like visit very often. Maybe if the finances make it, having like some sort of Airbnb that I rent out 6 months there and then live some months in it, maybe like 2 months at a time, 1 month at a time. But honestly, it's not on the agenda. That's like a bonus.
Yeah.
The biggest thing would be maintaining my freedom.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I don't think I'd also ever move back to the States. Like, I don't even know why I would, you know, what's the reason? Uh, but yeah, of course, like visiting friends, family, things like that. Yeah. So yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Yeah, we had a really good conversation, really touched on a lot of different things, and everybody can find you at the Digital Bromad, right?
Yep. Instagram, the Digital Bromad, YouTube as well, TikTok, Digital Bromad.
Nice, nice. Hope you guys enjoyed this video and make sure to check out his channel and we'll see you in the next video.